Hi guys, it's Jamie here. Today we're going to do an exclusive video just for Art Tribe, and I'm starting a Commonplace book. I've had this particular art journal, which has black paper, for a couple of years now. So rather than go out and buy a new art journal, I've decided to use this one. Initially, I start by measuring off a frame using masking tape. Later on, I abandon this idea and build the collage independent of this book page and then attach it later as a whole piece. As you know, I'm no officially trained artist, so a lot of what I do is experimentation, finding things that work, finding things that don't work, covering those things up and continuing until I get to something I am at least 70% okay with. I won't say that every single thing that I present to you I 100% love, but I hope that's the journey we're all on, that more practice and more play means that we improve our results over time. Which is why I thought the idea of doing a Commonplace book but giving it an art vibe might be a way forward. While you do not have to use the pictures that I'm using, I have given you all the different sizes, the isolated mermaids, and also the background into your Dropbox printables. Here I'm just playing with the pieces I've cut out, a bit like a jigsaw puzzle, so that I can assess what I've got and what I might need to do. Now I'm preparing some other pieces for the collage. For example, I'm taking the jelly prints that we made the other day, adding some different stamps to them, trying different colours of inks on different stamps. Not only do I have fresh work ready for this collage, but I also have some old prints and scraps. Having gathered up my paper materials, I'm now ready to start the collage. I don't want it to look like the original, just have a nod to it. So I'm being very careful to take out a lot of the original features. Even this little slit of sky is being cut away to be replaced with a bit of map. Now I'm cutting away some of the different rock areas. I've chosen the lighter blue areas and will be replacing those with bits of jelly print that I already had in my stash. While I'm doing that, let's talk a little bit more about the Commonplace book and why I thought it might make quite a nice ongoing Art Tribe project. If you want to take part in that project as a book, then obviously you might want to look at getting an art journal. Because it's being used for collage, I would look for a mixed media art journal. Size is dependent on what you're comfortable with, and just go for the cheapest. As I say, I end up building my collage off the book and then gluing all of it into the book at the end. I only came across the concept of a Commonplace book a few days ago, and it really grabbed me. It's something where you keep your thoughts, your inspirations, snippets of wisdom, bits of poetry, song words, anything that you would like in one place as a reference, which does give it a different function to a pure art journal, which is often based around a couple of words, a gratitude journal, which recognises your blessings in life. In the past, I've done Journal With Me, more junk journal style, and answering questions about oneself. A diary is more about events, a planner is more about to-do lists, a recipe book about recipes that you enjoy and love to cook. Therefore, I love the idea of the Commonplace book. It is thoughtful. You are looking for pearls of wisdom and inspiration without being probing and too mentally challenging. But it goes above and beyond record keeping, which is why I thought it would be suitable to make it more art orientated as well as the words of wisdom. I have yet to decide how I'm going to execute page 2, but I have a feeling if I was going to start collecting snippets of poetry or somebody saying something to me and I think, ooh, that's a good phrase, I may have to have the left-hand side of a double spread with quotes and pieces of information, and the right-hand side as the piece of art that goes alongside that. I have yet to make a final decision on the layout or how I'm actually going to use this. So feel free to set yours up in a way that works for you. For example, you may want to do it as a handmade journal, Midori style. Therefore, you can add blank pieces of paper to write on, envelopes to hold notes in, and also add pieces of art that you've done to go into the journal. You could also use an altered book style. Just remember, whatever pages you're using for artwork, you want to protect first with a matte medium. I continue to build this picture up. At the moment I'm working on the sea, and I go on to try and build the rocks and other aspects of the original picture. I do a lot of that work off camera for speed purposes. The Rock and Roll Bride magazine is my favourite go-to for funky modern pictures because it's alternative weddings and alternative decor, dresses, events. So it makes a wonderful source for pictures. I've immediately been struck by this huge Lady Gaga style hat, which I think I'm going to add to that mermaid. By the way, if you think I've got these magazines because I'm getting married, you'd be wrong. I've been very, very single for 15 years with no intention of rocking a Lady Gaga style outfit at a wedding, although I'd almost get married so I could rock that look. The reason I have 5 copies of this magazine was I saw an advert on Facebook Marketplace with a girl giving them away for free. Along with the free Vogues and posh interior design magazines I picked up at a local coffee shop, those magazines have been a blessing. I would say other magazines I've found useful are the National Geographic, which I'm able to get at a local charity shop for 10 pence or 10 cents. As you can see, our mermaid is now discreetly dressed with some gold discs from a Viking wedding as a metallic bikini. Therefore, I've decided her silver tail no longer works, so I've got some gold leaf out and some matte medium, and I'm adding the gold leaf to her tail. As with all my projects, this is where something went slightly wrong. The gold leaf no longer looks like a mermaid tail, so now I'm trying to correct it. I'm using my Bark Ink Intensive watercolour pencil to try and outline things and bring back that tail look. For some reason, I don't trust myself to draw scales, so I use my stencil. As I don't like how it looks, I go off and have a coffee. Having mulled it over, I'm back with my Salvage Patina Distress ink, which is that beautiful aquarine turquoise blue, and I'm toning down the tail with that ink and introducing some of the sea colours to it. I'm still not happy and slightly kicking myself, but I persist, and now I'm outlining my central figure, the mermaid, with the Bark watercolour ink intensive and adding some water to that to get it to appropriately smudge. I didn't buy a full set of the Derwent ink intensive. They are incredibly expensive watercolour pencils, and they are really strong when you add water to them. The only one I bought was the Bark, which I think costs me just under $4 US, about £3.50 just under from Amazon. They do take a little getting used to because it seems to me that the more water you add, the stronger the colour becomes. Normally I outline in my black Stabilo, but I couldn't find it, of course, even though I have 2 of them. But I could find the Bark, so that's what I used, and in the end I think that actually proved to be the better move. Here you can see how strong that Bark is becoming with the addition of water, and I'm actually liking the look so much I'm adding more and more water and going around and around the outline that I've already made. You can see sometimes I'm using my finger to smudge a few things in. A lot of my decisions are made on the hoof, so to speak. So here I've decided to keep adding more of the pencil and more of the shading, even taking it straight off the pencil and almost painting round some of that original artwork to create more shadowing, more definition to different parts of the picture. In the Bride magazine, I found this phrase, which I thought was a good way to start the Commonplace art book, which is don't be afraid to be creative and different. I'm simply outlining it a little bit with some permanent black ink. I decided to use my matte medium to add the phrase, and where I'm going to add it is towards the top of the page over the rock area. Here's where I make my next mistake. Because I cover the whole thing with the matte medium, I didn't realise or didn't think about when it dries what that would do to the gold leaf, and of course it completely dulled it down. Here I'm just framing the whole thing with some black ink around the edges of the collage, and now I work on covering up mistake number 2. The tail has got all smudged. First thing to add therefore is the salvage patina to bring some of the blue back. I'm still not happy with how dull it's looking. I'm using my gold fine line paint pen to bring back some shine. Next I add some more definition to the fins and tail by using a black marker pen, but I don't want it too defined, so while it's wet I'm just using my finger to very lightly smudge it. I'm on finishing touches stage now. I want the quote to stand out a bit more. I'm lightly scribbling with my bark intensive ink, deliberately going over and beside the box shape to try to give it a more casual appearance. And of course I add water to that for the more smudgy, intense look. I decided off camera that I didn't like how the hand was holding the hair. You couldn't see it was hair, it was looking a bit like a claw. In the Rock and Roll Bride magazine, I found a piñata llama. So of course, the mermaid would be holding a piñata llama. As with the mermaid, I have outlined the llama with the intensive Derwent bark shade and a bit of water to bring it out. The cheapest gloss spray I could find on Amazon was actually a yacht spray. I'm assuming if it can protect yachts at sea, it can protect a collage. I want to use a gloss because I do not want to lose my glittery tail for a second or third time. Here she is, our creative and different mermaid. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Do let me know if you're going to join in with the Commonplace art journal idea, and I will catch you very soon. Bye.